People tend to have this common misconception that a plant-based diet is incredibly restrictive, but I am here to prove otherwise. There's actually an incredibly amount of variety in this diet, depending upon your definition of plant-based diet, I guess. I mean, everybody eats a little differently regardless of what diet they're on. I eat a whole food plant-based diet, so that's what I'm going to focus on today. That's what I promote. That's what I advocate for. It has a tendency to increase basically health and longevity on all scales, as opposed to increasing your risk benefit for all-cause mortality and different diseases for if you consume, you know, such things as animal products and processed foods. So I'm going to talk about the 5 basic food groups, and then I'm going to add a 6th, maybe a 7th. Like I said, there's a lot of variety. So I'm going to go over whole grains, legumes, fruits and veggies, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices, and then some condiments that I tend to favor, and I've heard a lot of people will include some of these into their plant-based diet as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of show you guys some examples. So I brought out half my pantry and half my refrigerator. Let's see, whole grains. I actually eat gluten-free. So I have a slew of these gluten-free, non-GMO, organic kind of based grains. I love Bob's Red Mill. So this is sorghum. It's, I believe, this is an Indian tradition, but I believe it's also used in Africa. And this one, millet, is a grain that they tend to use in Asia. This is when I just started using amaranth. It's a Mexican staple. Again, these are all whole grains, so they're like full intact grains, and that is what is so important on a plant-based diet if you're going to eat for health reasons, is because the more you process a plant food, the more nutrition you reduce or get rid of. So I brought some rolled oats as opposed to steel cut oats, and I'm all out of intact oats, but let's say if they're on a continuum from most nutritious to least, you would start with the intact whole grain, and then the steel cut would be on the next level because they simply just cut those whole intact oats. And then the next one would be this rolled oats because they're a little more pressed and finely processed. And then you'd have things like, I believe the next one is flour, and then flaked, and then puffed. So that is the order of least to most processing when it comes to grains. I also want to show you, this is actually a pseudo grain, but quinoa is a huge staple in plant-based foods. Rice, there are so many different variations of rice. I have some jasmine, I have some black rice, I also have some brown, there's wild rice, and I actually have some brown rice pasta. And yes, this is slightly processed, but it's surprisingly less processed than, let's say, like a flour would be. You want to make sure it's made out of whole grain pasta, or brown rice, sorry. It actually has a very low glycemic index as opposed to flour-based products like pastries or cookies or cakes. But I'll get more into that in a different video. So I think that's all I want to say about whole grains. Let's move on to legumes. At the moment, there are so many different kinds of lentils. So at the moment, I just have red lentils and some of these French lentils. There's brown, green, yellow, all different sorts. And again, these are legumes. This is the second plant-based whole foods category. And then the beans I have at the moment, I always use dried beans. They're so cheap. This is like $1.18. And this will last you all week if you make the whole thing at once, but you don't have to. You can freeze them. You can leave some in the fridge, some in the freezer. These are black beans, and then I have some kidney beans. At the moment, I'm using these navy beans because they go really well when I mash them up into my daughter's oatmeal in the morning. She never notices. And let's see, legumes. You can also get like canned beans, but just make sure that they have the BPA-free labels on them. Those have a tendency to have a lot of toxins inside the lining of the cans. Hummus. Hummus is another typically used condiment that you would use beans for, but I throw them in everything, from soups to salads to, like I said, my oatmeal in the morning. If you can get beans at every meal, you're so much better off. Let's move on to the next category, which is fruits and veggies. I just kind of clump them into one because everybody's familiar with fruits and veggies. I always have different kinds of mushrooms. These are super important for their anti-cancer benefits. So I usually throw these into soups. My boyfriend likes to saute them in just about everything. Greens. Greens are by far my biggest go-to. I can't not have a refrigerator full of greens at any point in time. I will always have a large salad ready to go in the fridge. I'll usually prep those on like Sundays and just eat them all throughout the week. Yes, I'm surprised they last that long too, but it's very possible, believe it or not. Otherwise, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions. There's so many different variations of onions. Some more starchy vegetables would be your potatoes. So sweet potato, red potato, russet, baked potatoes, and squashes. This is my favorite. I believe it's like kombucha. Somebody wants to leave a comment, let me know how to pronounce that. Fruits. The interesting thing about fruits is that you can have them fresh or dried. Dried fruits tend to be more highly concentrated in their sugars though. So you have to be careful with that. So you're actually reducing the water content and increasing the sugar content. So I don't eat a lot of dried fruit just because I try to be a little more pure with my diet. It tends to agree with my, I have celiac disease. So it has helped me overcome the symptoms that I used to experience with that. So fruits are so good to have on hand with snacks, particularly. I'll use them for desserts. You can freeze like bananas or other berries and have those in different sherbets and nice creams. My daughter loves those. Smoothies, perfect way to get more fruit into your day. They say 9 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables are ideal. So you literally want to just pile them into your grocery cart each time you go grocery shopping. I think that's all I want to say about fruits. Oh, and berries. Berries are by far the most antioxidant rich fruit. So try to get those into your diet every day. I think Dr. Greiger has a lot of good things to say about those. Highest fiber content, highest micronutrient content. So those are great in like oatmeals and smoothies and such. So moving on to nuts and seeds. I have a slew of nuts in front of me. I'll just show you guys. Got pecans, walnuts, Brazil nuts. These are ridiculously high in selenium, so you only need like a half of one and you get your day's worth of selenium. Almonds, and then I'm using hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds regularly. These are great for your ALAs, your omega-3s, among many other micronutrients, sterol stanols, and fiber. And then pumpkin seeds, try to fit those into as many dishes as I can because they're so high in iron. And that's really important for my baby as well. She's about 16 months now, so she's got to make sure I get all of those ingredients. I also want to mention nut butters. This one, I'm not as fond of peanuts as I am as some other nut butters. There's also seed butters that are really good for you. Try to get the ones that just contain one ingredient. So this is literally just peanuts. Again, though, the more you process a food, just like with the oats, moving from intact oats to the puffed version and everything in between, or let's say regular beans, and then the flour version of the beans, or even hummus is more processed than just the regular bean. The more you're processing these foods, the more bioavailable you're making them, so the easier your body is going to be able to absorb them. And that's what's really interesting about plant-based foods, and that's why they're so good for weight loss. If you are trying to lose weight, you want to stay away from these processed versions and eat more of the whole intact food. So instead of hummus, have the bean, or instead of rolled oats, have steel cut oats, for instance. Or instead of pumpkin seed butter, have pumpkin seeds, that kind of thing. So I just want to do two more real quick. Herbs and spices. This should be a category, but some people don't include it in their list. I definitely do. I think it's super important. Just to name a few, like here's a little more fresh bay leaves. Those are perfect for soups. Cinnamon goes in our oatmeal most mornings. Turmeric is good for all kinds of dishes, and it actually has this highly anti-inflammatory compound in it. I definitely recommend for you athletes. It's very helpful in helping you recover from your workouts. Garlic powder and onion powder, I use these regularly in just about everything. Let's see if you can see this stuff. Cumin, super fantastic for weight loss. Dr. Greger's got a great book, How Not to Diet. It'll explain all that inside there. Ginger, I'm gotta have ginger on everything. It has so many beneficial compounds in it. Nutritional yeast, I don't know if you'd actually call this a seasoning or you would actually call it a seasoning. I don't know if you'd call it a spice or an herb, is what I meant to say. But that is really good for you, and it goes on just about everything. Also helps you with your B12. If you want more information on supplements or B12 in and of itself and why vegans should supplement with B12, check out my videos that are devoted to that topic. So the last one is for condiments. Vinegar is a must. Again, excellent for weight loss, and it provides some interesting components that other foods don't, like acetic acid. That's the one that helps you lose weight. Salsa. Everybody's gotta have some salsa on a plant-based diet, as well as hummus. Some sweeteners I wanted to mention. Some healthier sweeteners. I've had a lot of questions about these. So at the moment I have some date syrup, some blackstrap molasses. Be sure to get the organic version of this. I was unable to find one in the grocery store at the moment, but apparently it tends to have a lot of pesticides, or is highly pesticide ridden. And maple syrup. Those would be your better varieties for alternative sweeteners, although these two are by far better than maple syrup. They contain a lot more iron, zinc, and calcium, magnesium, and such. So I think that's all I'm gonna say for what we eat on a plant-based diet. Told you there was plenty of variety. And these are just the things that I had laying around. So there's many more foods I could go over, but I think you get the point. There is a lot of variation that you can provide yourself on this diet. So if you enjoy videos on plant-based living and just general nutrition information, please feel free to subscribe, and I will see you next time.